N is for the way your name begins with N. Oh, my God, you're gonna be social working.
You know, you take one alcoholic out on a big binge, all of a sudden you're a bad social worker.
R is not for Marie. Metcalf, she's also starring. M is for McDonald. He's Norm McDonald. He's got his own show now.
The Norm Show premieres Wednesday, March 24th on ABC.
Ho, ho, ho! Look out! Woo! It's the Colonel Dude, bearing gifts!
Right now, the Colonel's gonna give you a holiday deal and a free sandwich.
The Duke of Drumsticks, Sultan of Sandwiches.
Get 10 pieces of KFC original recipe for just $8.99. Plus a coupon to try the new original recipe sandwich free.
Colonel's cool, Colonel's cool. Actually, I'm cold. At KFC, we do chicken right.
Today, I invited myself to help open gifts from the Pets.com gift center. Let me help. Let me help, Max. What is it? I can't wait. What is it, Iguana? Hey, Max, you're gonna give me a concussion. Uh-oh, mistletoe. Who wants to kiss a puppet? Max, be patient. I'll get you the meat. Okay, we'll just take 2 pieces of turkey over here. Thanks a lot. How could they do this to socks? Oh, no. The horror. This is the holidays. We should be sharing. Give it to me. Pets.com, because pets can't drive. So what does America think of The Norm Show? We just don't know. Yeah, we do. Millions watched and loved it. And even the critics are laughing at The Norm Show. I love you. Can I call you Daddy? So next, join the party and watch ABC's newest hit.
Hey, hi everybody.
Another great reason to watch Wednesday night, The Norm Show. ABC and next.
Sitcom, all ye faithful, a Christmas podcast special. For the 5th time I discussed 25 Christmas sitcom episodes. Please come and listen as we count down to Christmas. You should see Mr. Wilson, Tom Hanks and Danny Thomas. Sherman Hemsley will return and we head back to Springfield. We're definitely spending Christmas in Springfield.
Christmas!
Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome back to Sitcom, all ye faithful. It is Thursday, December 18th, which means for the 18th day in a row, I am here talking Christmas sitcoms to you, and it means we are 1 week away from day 25, 1 week away from Christmas Day, 1 week away from the final episode of Year 5 of Sitcom, All Ye Faithful. And today I once again am talking about a sitcom that I haven't covered before. I think I've done, for the most part, pretty good of keeping every year with fresh new sitcoms. I've only repeated myself. I think the only times I've repeated myself is with guests, which that's part of the rules. It's in the rule book. I read it. I reread it. I reread it every year. And with my day 25. Day 25 is always a special day, and it had a special show for the first 4 years, and it will have a special show for the next 20 years, I think, and more. Who knows? Who knows how long that show will go on for, and who knows how long this show will go on for. It will go on as long as I keep doing it. That, which isn't really an answer, is it? But I'm here today, and I'll be here next week, and I'll be here next year, God willing. Wait, found some wood, knocked on it. But today, I'm going back to 1999 to talk about a show that I definitely watched, and yet I'm not sure I remember this episode at all. I remember the show. I remember the premise of the show. I remember watching the show. I remember thinking more people should watch this show. And I'm pretty sure I even watched it with my wife. I was telling her today, yeah, we watched this. We used to, when we first got married, we got married in 2000. And when we first got married, you have to remember, I don't even think we had high speed internet. We had dial up in our house. Maybe. I think we had dial up. We might not even have had that. Or do we have like the old is it ISDN where it uses your phone line, but it was quote unquote high speed? I had to specially install a card into a laptop I bought online to have Wi-Fi, but you didn't have phones. I didn't even have a DVR. I think eventually I got a DVD player in our bedroom that I bought at like one of those overstock electronic shows. But for the most part, the one thing I said is we have to have cable television, and I had a DVD player in our living room. But you have to think, you have to remember, the show's on, you watch it. You watch the commercials, you wait till the end, you don't pause it, you go to the bathroom in between commercials, you hope you don't miss anything. And if you miss it, well, too bad, you're gonna have to wait until the summer to see it again. That is how television worked from the 1950s up until the mid 90s, I want to say, is where DVRs came in. Now, there is time in between. We had the VCR, and my mother was always very good at knowing how to program the VCR. In fact, she used to go to a neighbor's house and help him set up their VCR, that family. Like she knew how to program it. We even had a thing where we had an A/B switch on our TV in the 80s, where maybe it was the 90s at this point, where we could have because back then you didn't need a cable box and everything. You had the cable wire coming into your house, and the cable box was just so how you could change the channels. It wasn't like, it wasn't how you got the signal on your TV, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm going on a tangent I wasn't expecting, but here we go. So the cable wire would come in, and then it would split. One would go right into the TV because you didn't need a cable box. You just changed, you actually used your TV remote, and then one went to the VCR. So that way we could, if we wanted to record something, we switch over to B, we set everything up, we hit record, then we switch over to A and watch it. I don't know. All I know is we had VCRs, and that was at least a way to watch shows and fast forward through them. But by the time 2000 was coming around, we didn't have VCR in every room. What are we, rich? So look, long way of saying my wife and I watched the show, and I don't think we recorded it. I think we just watched it on TV, and there you go. But saying that, I don't remember this episode all that much. But the show itself, I think I remember telling people, this is a funny show. We watched the show. You got, like, at least my brother, and maybe people from work, but probably my brother, because from an early age, for me in the early 90s, the moment he was on, I loved Norm Macdonald. I think in the early 90s when I finally really started watching SNL regularly. Like growing up, my dad would show me the old 80s and 70s stuff on Nick at Night, though I do remember watching Eddie Murphy. But again, that was like a special thing, or maybe we'd record it. But like staying up and actually watching it felt like the early 90s, like starting with Phil Hartman and then kind of moving into the Adam Sandler and the Chris Farleys and the Norm Macdonald era. And I remember just thinking Norm was so different doing the news than before. Was it Dennis Miller was before? Then Kevin Nealon came after Norm, or no, Kevin Nealon came before Norm, then Colin Quinn, I think. I don't know. The point is I remember loving Norm right away because he was hilarious. He was weird. He was awkward. He was just different than everything else on that show. And that personality, that quirkiness, kind of, it's not anything he could really escape. It was him. So it almost felt like every role he played brought his voice in, his characteristic in. Like he played as alien on the show called The Orville, but it was Norm, but it was great. He just played, I just watched him from the 2019 Christmas movie Claus. He's an animated, he plays like a ferry captain. He's hilarious. It's just, I love his voice. I love, and then I'd watch clips of it. He had like a talk show online, very crass, very awkward, like crazy, silly humor, goofy humor, sometimes really raunchy humor or offensive humor, but it always made me laugh. And this show just made me laugh. And I'm watching this going, yeah, I think I enjoyed this episode. But then there were moments where I'm laughing out loud watching this episode, this very episode that I watched today. Today from 1999, December 15th, 1999. Now, at this point, my wife and I have a house. I am living in the house, I believe, by then. I think in 1999, I'm pretty sure I moved in the fall. And then I think I came home for Christmas Eve. Like I slept at home on Christmas Eve because that felt like the last Christmas. I gave you my heart, and the very next day you gave it away. That felt like the last Christmas of my childhood because 2000, that next Christmas, we're married. But the reason I slept at home is because 1999, we weren't married. So we were not allowed to live together. I don't know if there was if the rule would have been like, I don't know what would have happened if we did, but Tammy did not live in the house that we both owned for 6 months or something like that, at least. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure we watched this show. I might have, because at this point I'd go home and I'd be in my own house by myself. She'd come over, we'd hang out, we'd have dinner, and then she'd go home. It was very weird. In a house she owned, she didn't live there. But at this point, I don't know if she'd come over to watch this show. So I might have watched it alone. I might not have watched it at all. Maybe what would happen, probably, honestly, at this point, she's still at home. I'd probably go to her house. Even though we had our own house, I would sometimes go to her house, her family's house, hang out with her until she'd fall asleep. And then, boom, I'd drive home to our house, which was weird because I'm picturing like going one way out of her house to go to the house I grew up in, and then taking a different route to get to the next town over, which is where we bought our house. Oh, it feels like it was yesterday, and yet it's a million years ago at the same time. But this show from December 15th, 1999, I'm all over the place tonight because I'm reminiscing, like the fact that 1999, and I think about where I was, it's just bringing me back. So I'm all over the place with VCRs and living in sin and all kinds of stuff. But all roads lead back to why I'm here, which is talking about this episode of Norm versus Christmas. Now, Norm as a TV show, it was originally called The Norm Show, I think, for the first few episodes. And then it turned into just called Norm. It's about, so he's a former hockey player who's banned for life for gambling and tax evasion. And now he must do 5 years of community service as a social worker or go to prison. So I like that he kind of makes himself a degenerate. And Norm Macdonald, for real, was a humongous gambler. He would talk about it all the time on Howard Stern. And it was funny hearing him talk about it. And so he's, of course, his character or his character on the show is very much like a different version of him. Now, along with Norm on the show, there were some pretty recognizable names, most notably Laurie Metcalf, who she was on the show the entire run. This is post Roseanne and pre Connors, but at the same time, well, the post Roseanne, pre Roseanne, and pre Connors. And, she's also gone on to be in like major films, and to prove that she's not just a sitcom actress, like she is a legit actor. She's been in multiple movies. She brings the show a little gravitas. And then also on the show, some other recognizable names, Ian Gomez. I think Felicity is the show that I knew him from first. Also on the show, Nikki Cox, who I always want to say she was in the show that was kind of, I thought was a Married with Children ripoff, but it was also, I think, by the creators of Married with Children. The only difference is there was a talking bunny voiced by Bobcat Goldthwait, and I can't even think of the name of the show. But there were those recognizable names. And then there was Max Wright. Max Wright, of course, Willie Tannen from Alf. So this is the second time I'm discussing Max Wright on Sitcom All Ye Faithful. This, like, okay, he was on a show where he had to talk to a puppet. Speaking of puppets, that is Alf. And, you know, he plays like the curmudgeon dad or the guy who loses his temper with the alien. But on this show, I thought he was so friggin' great. Like he was this angry, stuck-up guy who kind of who was the manager or the boss. And Norm was like always at odds with him, always being sarcastic with him. And he would hate Norm and he would yell at Norm. And picture him when he's like, Elf, and the way he yells at Elf, he would now yell at Norm the same kind of way. And I just remember it always being hilarious. Then there was Norm's brother, played by Artie Lang. Now, if you don't know who Artie Lang is, he and Norm, they were in a movie together called Dirty Work. Then he brings Artie with him to be on his TV show. They play brothers in this TV show. Now, I didn't realize who Artie Lang was before this, so probably, I'm pretty sure I saw Dirty Work right away, but I think that was my first introduction to Artie, even though he was on Mad TV. Then I see him on this show. Then while he is on the show, it might be right towards the end of the show, he ends up on Howard Stern, and he ends up being kind of a regular to like the third banana on the show. You have Howard, you have Robin, you have Artie, and then Fred. Of course, Fred's always there, but Fred's more the sound effect guy. That is a show that I will defend to the end. I've been a hardcore listener since 1999. No show and nothing in the world makes me laugh like that show. So Artie was on that for years and years and years, and you learned lots of things about him personally, a lot of the demons that he's dealt with that actually led him to not being on the show anymore, that led him to having, you know, multiple issues. I read Artie's book early, like back when his first book when he was still with the show. I've kept kind of tabs on him over the years. And, you know, he's had some rough times. I think he's doing okay, better right now. But it's funny because Artie, for me, I best know him from Stern Show. But what's funny is in this episode, he dresses up like Santa. I think for the rest of the world, he is best known as the Santa who gets in a fight with Will Ferrell in Elf. He's the Santa who smells like meat and cheese. That's Artie. If you don't know who that is, who Artie is before, you probably recognize that face now. Didn't he say to Buddy, he's like, do you want to die? And then they had the big fight. And Artie would always talk about how that he owes like a debt to Will Ferrell because that one little scene he's done has been like a Christmas gift every year because he gets these residuals from Elf airing over and over and over. But he's a very funny guy. He seems like he's more funny. I always thought he was funnier on the show telling stories than like as a comic actor, at least. But he is pretty funny in this. And I laughed out loud multiple moments, and a lot of it had to do with him. So, of course, it's Christmas time in the office, and Norm seems to be big into Christmas decorating, setting up, you know, a tree that's way too big. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, that's just the Norm's thing, you know, like his every reaction is like, what do you mean? And I don't care. It makes me laugh almost every single time. But, oh, by the way, Norm plays a character named Norm. Laurie Metcalf plays a character named Laurie. Max Wright plays a character named Max. Artie Lang plays a character named Artie. They really make it easy. Nikki Cox, no, she plays someone named Taylor. Ian Gomez, no, he plays someone named Danny. But everyone else plays by their first names. So when I'm saying Laurie, Norm, Max, and Artie, I'm actually talking about the character names now. So that makes it a lot easier. So I don't, because I definitely screw up with that all the time. So they're all into Christmas. And we find out that Danny has a major crush on Taylor, and he gets her in Secret Santa, and he ends up buying a $5,000 diamond necklace. So she freaks out. She's like, I can't accept this. He goes, oh, no, you thought this was real? So he tells her it was a dollar store. It's fake. You know, it's just costume jewelry, which makes her feel a little better. And we find out that Lori doesn't like Christmas and doesn't want to deal with Christmas, doesn't want to have doesn't want to be part of it. Like she kind of is avoiding the Christmas party and the Secret Santa stuff that Artie's doing. But it turns out later she just finds out she doesn't like it. But the Christmas party is almost stopped because Max says you can't do that. We're in a government building. You can't have a Christmas party. It's got to be separation of church and state. But then Artie's like, Norm says, well, what are you talking about? No, Norm says, I'm going to, instead of taking away the Christmas party, he brings in pieces of every other religion. So he goes, even the ones with the made up holidays, just to make people feel better. So they end up doing the Christmas, even though Max is still trying to shut it down. They have the party. They yell at him, call him Scrooge, and we find out that Lori doesn't want to deal with it. She's working on a support group for the apocalypse. The people are worried about the apocalypse at the turn of the century, because this is 1999. And Norm's like, what are you talking about? He goes, the apocalypse. And it's funny. You think he's going to say, that's ridiculous. He's like, the apocalypse, that's like a week away. The Secret Santa's right now. Come on. So, but she doesn't want to be part of it. So we find out later, Artie the whole time is dressed up like Santa. And the jokes with Artie are, you ate something, you're too fat jokes. There's also a little person on the show who is a guy that's been in like tons of stuff. What does he play? It's guy Danny Wood. If you told me his name, I have no idea. Danny Woodburn, but he's Mickey on Seinfeld, the guy who was always get into like trouble with Kramer. So that guy's still working today, still acting today. Unfortunately, I think a few of us are no longer with Norm Macdonald's, and obviously no longer with us, and Max Wright is no longer with us. And then there's an older lady who also passed away, but she plays one little bit role, but it is one of the laugh out loud moments of this episode. So Artie's Santa, we find out Lori doesn't want to have doesn't want to celebrate Christmas. So Norm's like, you know what? She just doesn't get in the Christmas spirit. Well, you got to help me, Artie, get her in the Christmas spirit. And the way they do that is they break into her house. They break into her apartment. They try to slowly open the window, and the window smashes everywhere. Now, this is an apartment, not a house. And then Norm and Artie get in there. He's like, I'm going to set up this. And Artie's like, I got to go to the bathroom. He goes, okay. Norm's like, go down the hall and go to the left. Her bedroom's on the right. The bathroom's on the left. Remember, the bathroom's on the left. So we see him go down the hall, and then you see nothing, and you hear Laurie go, who's there? And the next thing you hear is bang, and you see a flash, like a gunshot went off. And Norm's like, oh, maybe the bathroom was on the right. And then Artie comes out, and he's grabbing his leg, and he's screaming, he got shot. And that was my first laugh out loud moment. Then the next shot is we're at the hospital, and there's this Cub Scout troop leader with all these kids, and they're talking about how we have to be good, and how it's nice of you kids to come here and see all the sick children that are here, because it's going to be very good. And Santa will see how good you're doing, and he'll be there to take care of you tonight. The next shot is the door opens up, and there's a gurney with Artie dressed fully in Santa, and he's yelling, "Oh God, oh God, oh God!" And he's grabbing his leg, and they're rolling him in, and they're like, "Oh my God, Santa, are you gonna die?" And they go, and they're like, "No, no, no." And the troop leader says, "Oh, he's not shot. He just has a tummy ache." And she rubs his belly, and Artie goes, "Oh!" And the wound from his leg shoots blood. Like you don't see this on sitcoms all that much. Shoots blood all over this woman's shirt. The kids freak out. Everybody freaks out. The woman freaks out. She almost passes out. That was another laugh out loud moment that I was not expecting on a just a primetime sitcom of blood shooting out of Santa's leg. Laurie feels horrible that she shot Artie. So she comes to the hospital. She doesn't know what to get Artie. So Artie goes, Taylor goes, and Danny's coming later. They're all going to the hospital. Max, we don't see for the rest of the episode. But Norm's there with Artie. Artie gets taken back. Norm goes back with him. Then Laurie sees Taylor and says, I can't believe it. I can't believe I've done that. She goes, I need to get something at the gift shop. What do you get someone who you shot? She's like, I don't know, a house. So, because obviously, what do you get someone who you shoot? She goes back and Artie's now, it's funny, he's got one of the buttons to get the painkillers, which thinking about his substance issues, it made me like, oh geez, that's not good. Obviously the real life guy. So but it's funny, he goes, the doctor says I can press this, but I think it's much easier if I just do this. And he takes the bag, the drip bag, the IV bag, and he's squeezing it to try to get it into him quicker. Lori shows up and she's like, Artie, I'm so sorry. He's like, don't worry, he'll forgive you. And Artie goes, I forgive you. It's not a big deal. And he's all doped up, gives her a hug. Then he puts his hand down and squeezes her on the ass. She's like, what the hell? He goes, hey, you shot me, she goes off in a huff. Meanwhile, we find out that, Nikki Cox's character, Taylor, she's waiting out in the waiting room and she sees a kid. And the kid's all sad because she broke her arm and she doesn't think Santa's going to come now because Santa was shot. They're like, oh no, that wasn't the real Santa. He'll come, don't worry. And she's nervous about, not enjoying Christmas. So Taylor says, what'll make you feel better? And she gives the kid the diamond necklace that she thinks is dollar costume jewelry. And the girl's like, this is wonderful. Maybe I'll give it to my dog. And, the kid's just about to get wheeled away. This is when Danny comes in and he notices, he's like, what are you doing there? Why did she have the bracelet I gave you? He goes, oh, Danny, it'd make her feel better. She was having a pretty bad day. He goes, oh, okay, cool. He walks over and he's like, I'll give you $20 right now for that bracelet. $40, $60, $200. The girl's like, no. He goes, okay, fine. I'll just let the boogeyman know. He'll come back and get it himself. She freaks out, drops the bracelet, and runs off. And Danny picks it up. He's like, oh, I guess she didn't want it. And Taylor's like, what? Why did you do that? Like, what's going on? He goes, well, I have to tell you, I actually spent a little more. I spent $5,000 on this bracelet. And she's like, why would you do that? He goes, I just wanted to tell you how much you mean to me, how I feel about you, and probably not the best way to do it. He goes, I wrote you something. And he opens a note and it says, do you like me? Circle yes or no. He goes, you can just circle no, it's fine, which was kind of funny. She goes, I'm not going to circle anything. I don't know how I feel right now. I don't remember. Do they actually get a relationship? I don't remember. So she's like, I don't know how I feel, but let's just give me time. Just give me time. Okay, fine. Very good. So then I think that's it with Artie. He's probably going to be fine. Norm comes out and talks to Laurie like, what's the matter with Christmas? Why do you hate Christmas? And Laurie talks about how she had these terrible Christmases. So then Norm tries to talk about how he has terrible Christmases. And then Laurie would say something even worse. And then Norm said something like, oh, I burnt down the house. I burnt down the whole homeless shelter or whatever, the hobo shack they were living in. She's like, what? That's not real. He goes, okay, fine. But he didn't want to see her winning. So they're trying to one up each other. But Laurie had real terrible stories, and Norm had some that he was embellishing upon. So we cut back. The little person I forgot to mention was working with Laurie Metcalf. She's upset because he can't collect. He's upset because he can't collect Social Security or unemployment because he quit the job he had. Well, he quit the job he had because he didn't want to be typecast as an elf. He wants to be Santa. And she's like, listen. Then the little person jokes of, the kids want to sit on your lap, not the other way around. And she goes, I'm not talking down to you. And then she kneels and gets in his face. I'm not talking down to you. So later on, we come back to Laurie's apartment and she turns on the light and it's all decked out in Christmas. Everything's perfect. There's a train going. There's even an easy bake oven. Now, I forgot to mention earlier in the show, there's a couple of jokes. Norm's like, the best gift to get someone is cake, like just a random throwaway line. Then she says how when she was younger, her mother tried to put her head in her easy bake oven. Kind of a pretty funny line. So now Norm got her an easy bake oven, and she's like, oh my goodness, an easy bake oven. And he takes out, he goes, look, the perfect gift, cake. So I thought that was actually kind of a good callback, a clever little callback. She's like, oh, thank you for doing this. He goes, I want you to, he goes, a lot of people have bad Christmases and a lot of people have it worse off than you and they're still enjoying Christmas. So maybe you can try to. And she's like, yeah, maybe I will try to. And he goes, listen, there's just one other thing. When he comes out, he goes, don't shoot. He goes, there's just one other thing. Someone else wanted to had a Christmas wish. And there's the little person, Drake, comes out dressed up as Santa. And he sits on the couch and she puts her feet on a lap and there's a couple of jokes. And then we cut back to the end of the episode, and it seems like Drake and Norm stayed at Lori's house and they partied and they drank and they got drunk and they passed out. So then at the very end of the episode, Drake, this is the little person dressed up as Santa. He's like, I got to go to the bathroom. He goes, okay, go down that way. And it's the room on the left, or the same exact thing. And I don't know if it's an actual live audience or if they just got the right canned audience sound effect. Someone was like, oh, because you knew it was coming. The exact same thing happened where you hear Lori say, who's there? And then boom, a shot goes off, and that's the end of the episode. Many moments that I was enjoying the whole thing. And there were laugh out loud moments of Artie getting shot and of the blood squirting out of his leg onto all the Cub Scouts into the Cub Scout leader. I thought that was laugh out loud funny. And just the rest of it, I just like Norm and Laurie's interaction together, Norm and Max's interaction together, pretty much Norm and everybody. And even Norm with Danny and Taylor, when he was like trying to keep the secret that Danny liked her and he's just giggling. It was filled with things that I liked. And as far as I can tell, this isn't really available to watch anywhere, which is a shame. Maybe you can buy the DVDs. I don't know. I found it on YouTube. I was going to watch it on YouTube. I made a bookmark to it on YouTube. I went back to, this was yesterday. I went back to it today and it was already gone. Now I go to Just Watch and I look, Norm, nowhere to be seen, which is ridiculous. But I found that if you can't find something, regularly on some sort of streaming platform, the best place to Google or search is archive.org. People put up a ton of stuff. The first one I found must have been right off the DVD because it had full commentary, and I didn't want that. Do a little more digging, and I found someone who must love Norm because they have all of like Norm's live. What was it called? Norm Live, the podcast. They had some other clips of Norm guests, being a guest on different shows. And then they had, thankfully, this exact episode. So that's where I found it. I found it on archive.org. Not high quality, but pretty good. Pretty good quality to watch for a show that's 26 years old that I'm guessing they got this off a DVD. Not in HD, before HD. So just a regular old square TV show. But yeah, I'm very glad. I think I talked about this the other day. I just happened upon this and I was like, oh my God, Norm, I completely forgot about how much I enjoyed that show. I need to go watch it. And I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I'm doing it here today for all of you. And with that, I think we're pretty much done talking about Norm, but not done talking about TV yet because, as I said, this show aired back in 1999 on a Wednesday night, December 15th, which is crazy when I think about the fact that I was living alone, but I'm in the same job that I had then that I'm at. Well, I shouldn't say the same job. I'm in the same workplace. My job has evolved since then, but I'm in the same institution that I was all the way back then. Now, I'm going to go back to Wednesday, December 15th, 1999, go to TV Tango and see what was on TV that night. And I have a feeling that I did not watch this episode, but maybe I did. Maybe I was home by then. Because let's talk about this is 1999. Let's talk about the 6 networks, the 3 major networks, maybe we'll say 4 major networks now, and the 2 little networks that, could and have CW'd together since then. Let's talk about those first. On the WB, there was a new episode of Dawson's Creek. I've never seen an episode of Dawson's Creek ever. My only knowledge of Joshua Jackson is Fringe. At 9 p.m., There was a new episode of Roswell, which I think I wanted to watch, but I never did. It seemed interesting. And then didn't they come back with a remake, a reboot of that? I want to say it came out like 2 years ago, but it probably came out like 7 years ago. I'm going to look. Roswell reboot show was called Roswell, New Mexico, and it came out in 2019. Oh my God, that's 6 years ago. So that's what was going on the WB. Of course, the WB, UPN, and for some reason, still Fox to this day. They do not have anything airing at 10 p.m. That's what puts Fox, I think, at a disadvantage. They're missing out on 5 to 7 nights of programming that they just have local news on. Now, maybe they're not missing out. Maybe they're saving money that way. I don't know. Over on UPN, there was a show called 7 Days, which I've never heard of. 7 Days. It looks like it was a cop show, maybe, or a lieutenant. I see lieutenant, captain, and doctors. Who knows what it was. 7 Days. I literally have never heard of it, but it says it's science fiction. Oh, interesting. Interesting indeed. But that was followed by a show that, again, I wanted to watch. Star Trek Voyager. When I started college, which was 1994, I had a TV, and TV 38 for UPN in Massachusetts was on something called TV 38, which is like a UHF channel that we got before cable took over everything. That's where we would watch local games for the Red Sox, the Bruins, and I think the Celtics were even on TV 38 for some time. But it also would be it'd be syndicated stuff. It would be old shows. They would show movies. They had the Movie Loft with Dana Hershey in the Movie Loft. But then it converted or turned into or evolved into UPN. Right now, today, it's TV 38. I don't know if it still does all of the stuff. I think it does a lot of like CBS extra stuff. So like when the Patriots have their local weekly shows, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy move over to TV 38. It's like an extra show, extra station. But I wanted to watch Star Trek Voyager. I was like, I want to watch a Star Trek show. I've never watched a Star Trek show. Let me start this one because I'm in my dorm. I didn't have much of a life in college. Let me watch it. And I started to, and I don't think I kept up with it. But that was on at 9 p.m. over I did eventually watch the first couple seasons of Enterprise, though. And yeah, I thought that was good. And, Scott Bakula had a beagle, so that was a win-win. Over on NBC were two things that I definitely didn't watch. Two things I definitely didn't watch. One thing I used to watch, but I probably wasn't watching at this point. We had Dateline NBC. Oh, it was the State of the Union. Always love those. How poignant and timing, time, you know what I mean? Screw it. Politics, second. 9 p.m., The West Wing. Speaking of politics, there's a show that I probably would love. I think I would love that show, but never watched an episode. Maybe I watched the first one. Then an episode at 10 o'clock of Law and Order. And I remember being like, it's cool because at the beginning you got the law, then you got the order. You got the law and the order. And you got the dad from Dirty Dancing, but you like him now. So I definitely watched that for a while. But I've never seen a full episode of SVU. Now, on Fox, that's what I think I might have been watching that night, because I probably went to my wife's house, had dinner with her family, and hung out. And then at 8 o'clock, we watched an episode of Beverly Hills 90210 together. Then maybe I played a little PlayStation, and then I said, okay, I need to go home now, and I go back to our house. But Beverly Hills 90210 had a brand new episode that night, so I'm guessing that's what I watched, followed by an episode of Get Real, which I don't know what that is, but that's what was on. Now, okay, I'm gonna be shameful. I tried to not talk about this guy. I keep trying to avoid this guy, but he keeps popping up. 8 o'clock on CBS was a brand new episode of Cosby, not The Cosby Show, but Cosby, where he's, I think, a retired, worked for an airline, married to Felicia Rashad, and either the neighbor or the daughter's boyfriend was Dougie Doug. And I remember loving the show. And I feel embarrassed to say this. I think Tammy and I watched this show, and, Dr. William H. Cosby at the time, him and Dougie Doug together, it was like, oh, they were like comedic butting heads up against each other. But I remember thinking it was pretty funny. I don't know what to say. I don't know if and Madeline Kahn was on it. Madeline Kahn was on this show, and I think she might have passed away during this show. And she was great on it too. I can't believe I'm saying this. That was followed by Becker. Now, for some reason, I'll watch a show where a Huxtable is no longer a Huxtable, but I won't watch a show where friggin' a Malone is no longer a Malone. I don't think I appreciated Ted Danson like I do now, like I do for all his other shows now, like for his Curb, for his The Good Place, just for anything, for his consumer wireless commercials, everything Ted Danson does. I haven't watched his new Netflix show yet, but I want to. And Becker is on my list. It's on my list to see if they have Christmas episodes. It was on for a while. I've never seen an episode, though I know Alex Desert is on it because he's in a band I like called Hepcat, and he was in Swingers, and now he does a voice on The Simpsons, I believe. But I've never actually seen an episode. Now at CBS, that was what was on at 8 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock was a movie from 1999, the CBS Wednesday movie, A Crime of Passion, a brand new movie, which I got to see who was in A Crime of Passion. This is a CBS, so it's not Shannon Tweed. She would only be on Showtime. And Tracy Gold? Are you effing kidding me? Tracy Gold from Growing Pains? The show that stars, noted kook Kirk Cameron? Interesting. Also, Powers Booth. Wait a minute. Kelly Rowan. Oh, wait. Kelly Rowan. I was thinking Kelly Rowland from, of course, Freddy vs. Jason and Destiny's Child. But okay, yeah, that's two very different people. One I actually recognize. The other one is the one who was in this CBS Wednesday movie. So that was on CBS. Then we go to ABC, which is where the Norm Show was. And it had a good lead-in, had a very good lead-in. And it looks like it actually did pretty good in the ratings. It came second that night on ABC. It didn't do as well as The West Wing, but nothing did. And Law and Order, those were the two big hits of that night, according to the ratings here. The CBS Wednesday movie, I guess, did pretty damn good too. But actually, that might have been the big. No, it got a good share, but the highest rating went to Law and Order. But 8 o'clock on ABC, Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, which then turned into Two Guys and a Girl because maybe they got rid of the pizza place. But most notably, that's where Ryan Reynolds got his start. That's where Nathan Fillion got his start. That's where that other guy from Two Guys and a Girl in a Pizza Place got his start. He was the second guy and the girl. But I don't think I ever stuck with that show. But it was like kind of beloved in a small way. They held on to it. Then there was a show called It's Like You Know, and I don't know what that is, except I kind of remember it because Jennifer Grey starred on it as herself. Jennifer Grey as Jennifer Grey. That might have been her comeback. It was at the time where everyone freaked out because she got a nose job. I could be making that up. I could be there was something along that lines. It might be from that show. At 9 p.m., a brand new episode of the Drew Carey Show, which I definitely watched. Again, it wasn't like nowadays where you watched every episode because they're on streaming. Now to the next one, now the next one. A lot of these sitcoms, you'd miss one here, you'd catch one here. So I don't know, again, if I watched this one. And then that was followed by this episode that I watched tonight, The Norm Show, Norm versus Christmas. And then at 10 o'clock, a new episode. No, I don't even know if it was a new episode, but 2020 was on at 10 o'clock on ABC. And that is what aired on December 15th, 1999. What else was on like that night? Well, Late Show with David Letterman. Susan Sarandon was on Conan. The Late Show was now with Craig Kilborn. Oh, remember that? Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Well, there's something that, we still see today. But yeah, that's your TV shows of that evening, and I think that's it. I think I've covered the show, I've covered the night, I've rambled on and on and on, and I need to get this episode up. I'm talking way longer than I thought I was going to be talking, but hey, that's the power of Sitcom, all ye faithful. So I'm getting out of here right now. I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll do this all over again. But until then, my friends, you can follow me on social everywhere at Geek Mentality, except TikTok, which is Geek Mentality Mike. The Facebook page, of course, is Fans Not Experts. The YouTube channel is Fans Not Experts. That's because the website is fansnotexperts.com. I want to do it one more time before I leave. Hey, what are you talking? I can't even do it anymore. Wait a minute. I lost the noise. He's like, what are you talking about? Nope, it's gone. It's gone. Okay, I'm going to try. Ready? What are you talking about? Nope, it's totally, I'm not even going to try anymore. I'm going to take a sip of root beer. Oh, damn, I'm out of root beer. All right, I will see you tomorrow, my friends. Thank you for listening. What are you talking about? There, it's back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And here is my theme song.
This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time. And I'm kinda handsome, my mom says. Please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.